Okay, we've got a question about ceramic plaques, and each one has a length x and a width y measured in millimeters. Okay, so we've already had a regression question, so we're not at all surprised when we look at this. We discover that this is about a product moment correlation coefficient between x and y. So this is code for R, and there's only one mode on your calculator that you ever use for finding R. It's the same one as you use for regression. So it's the y equals a plus bx statistics mode that you go into. Okay, and you bung in all of this data, and your calculator will tell you the value of R in the normal way. And we're not at all surprised to see that we've got to interpret that in context. So you know what this statement looks like. For our 2 marks here, the first mark is going to be for 2 words, one which describes how strong the correlation is, and then a word that's either positive or negative. If there is some correlation, any appreciable correlation, you have to say whether it's positive or negative. So how strong is it? What kind of correlation? You say correlation. And then you say between. Okay, and you have to say between what and what. And the in context part means that this is in words, you actually say what they are. You just don't say between x and y, because that won't give you any marks at all. Okay, so standard statement for interpretation of R in context. Then there are some nice easy marks for, on your copy you should have a copy of the axes here, so you've just got to plot these points onto the axes. So that should be, that's a GCSE skill, that should be fairly straightforward. Okay, and then we're invited to use the fact that these 6 plaques are from a different source from these 6 plaques. So that's suggesting actually that there may be some kind of relationship here and some kind of relationship here. Okay, that's going on. So what does it ask us to do? It says talk about our scatter diagram, but without making any further calculations. Estimate the value of the product moment correlation coefficient between x and y for each source of plaque. So the fact we're mixing up 2 different relationships probably means that the R value you got in part A probably isn't very meaningful. So you forget all the work you've done before. You just cover up, for the first part, you just cover up the points here, and you look at these points, and you think, what's the pattern here? Okay, and we've got to estimate a value. So it's no point saying you think that might be, I don't know, sort of very strong negative correlation or whatever it looks like. You're not doing it in words, you're giving me an R value. Okay, so you decide, is this strong positive or negative correlation, and then you're giving me an R value that corresponds to what you see. Okay, and there are 2 different R values because presumably there are going to be 2 different patterns on your scatter plot. So that's what this question wants you to do.